Someone asks you a question in a meeting, you know the answer, but your mind goes blank, your mouth won't move, you sit there, frozen, while everyone stares. Later, you'll replay that moment and wonder what's wrong with you. Or maybe it's bigger than that. Maybe you've been stuck for weeks. You can't start the project. You can't reply to the email. You can't make the phone call. You tell yourself you're lazy. You tell yourself you just need to try harder. But what if the problem isn't effort, it's biology? Most people know about fight or flight. When danger appears, your body either prepares to confront it or run from it. But there is a third option that almost nobody talks about, and it's the one your body reaches for when fighting and fleeing are both impossible. It's called the freeze response, and in polyvagal theory it's known as dorsal vagal shutdown. This is your oldest survival system, older than fight or flight, older than mammals, older than dinosaurs. It evolved hundreds of millions of years ago in ancient reptiles as a last resort survival strategy. When you cannot escape and you cannot win, you shut down. You conserve every drop of energy. You become still. You become invisible. And in many cases, throughout evolutionary history, that strategy worked. Energy drops, muscles go limp, heart rate slows, your brain stops processing information at full speed. The system is essentially saying, if I can't survive this by acting, maybe I can survive it by disappearing. In the animal kingdom, this looks like playing dead. An opossum going limp when caught by a predator. A mouse freezing in the jaws of a cat. It's not a choice. It's an automatic, involuntary shutdown that happens below the level of conscious decision. In humans, freeze rarely looks as dramatic as playing dead. It shows up in subtle, chronic ways that most people misidentify as personality flaws. Here's what it actually looks like. It looks like procrastination that doesn't respond to deadlines or consequences. Not the kind where you know you should start and you choose to wait, the kind where you physically cannot make yourself begin. You sit at the desk, you open the laptop, and then you stare at the screen for 45 minutes, unable to type a single word. You watch yourself not doing the thing, and you feel powerless to change it. That paralysis is not a motivation problem. It is a nervous system state. It looks like brain fog, the inability to think clearly, to hold a thought, to make even simple decisions. What should I eat for dinner becomes an overwhelming question because your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that plans and decides, has been taken offline by the shutdown response. It looks like emotional numbness, not sadness, not anxiety, just nothing. A flatness that makes it hard to care about things you know you care about. People around you are laughing, talking, living, and you feel like you're watching it all through glass. It looks like spending an entire weekend in bed. Not because you're tired from working hard, but because getting up requires an amount of energy your nervous system has decided it cannot afford to spend right now. Your body is in deep conservation mode. It has decided, without consulting you, that the world outside the bed is not safe enough to engage with, and it is holding you in place until conditions change. And it looks like the classic freeze moment in conversation. Someone says something hurtful, and instead of responding, you go silent. Not because you have nothing to say, but because your system has temporarily locked your voice. Here's the critical reframe. Every single one of those experiences is routinely mislabeled. Procrastination, laziness, brain fog, emotional flatness, dissociation. We treat them as character defects, as failures of discipline or motivation. But they're not. They are symptoms of a nervous system that has dropped into its oldest, most primitive survival state. Your body is not failing you. It is protecting you the only way it knows how, by shutting down non-essential systems and conserving energy for bare survival. The reason willpower doesn't work against freeze is the same reason willpower doesn't work against fight or flight. You cannot override an automatic survival response with a conscious decision. The freeze response is controlled by the dorsal branch of the vagus nerve, the same ancient circuit that controls hibernation in some animals. Telling a frozen nervous system to just try harder is like telling a hibernating bear to wake up by yelling at it. The bear's body will wake up when its internal conditions change. So will yours, but it requires the right signals, not the right attitude. So how do you come out of it? The most important thing to understand is that freeze is the opposite of mobilization. Your body has gone into energy conservation mode. The way out is not through forcing action. It's through gentle reactivation. Start with micro movements. Not a workout, not even a walk, not a cold shower or a run or any of the things that productivity advice tells you to force yourself through. Just wiggle your fingers, roll your ankles in circles. Gently turn your head from side to side. Press your palms together for 5 seconds, then release. These tiny movements send a signal to your nervous system that your muscles still work, that your body is not actually trapped, that voluntary movement is still available to you. You are reminding your body that it has options. Temperature change is powerful against freeze because it creates an unavoidable sensory input. Hold something cold, an ice cube, a cold glass of water, or step outside if it's cold. The temperature shock gently pulls your nervous system out of its energy-saving mode because it gives your body something immediate and physical to respond to. Orienting, slowly looking around the room and naming what you see, works against freeze because it reactivates your visual processing system and your prefrontal cortex, both of which shutdown has partially taken offline. Try the classic grounding exercise. 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. You're not distracting yourself. You're bringing your sensory systems back online, one at a time, proving to your nervous system that the environment is safe enough to engage with. And if someone safe is available, just being in their physical presence can help. Not talking about the problem, not being coached or motivated, just sitting next to someone whose nervous system is calm. Your body reads their safety signals and slowly begins to mirror them. This is co-regulation, and it's one of the fastest exits from freeze. If you've spent years calling yourself lazy, unmotivated, broken, or weak, consider the possibility that you were never any of those things. You were in freeze, and you didn't know it because nobody ever told you that this state exists. Now you know, and knowing changes everything because you can't exit a state you don't recognize. The first step out of freeze is always the same, noticing that you're in it. If you want to learn more about how your nervous system works and how to work with it instead of against it, subscribe. Next, we're going to look at why your nervous system sometimes reads safe situations as dangerous and how to retrain that response.